Hello, sorors, affiliates, and guests, and welcome. Swim 1922 goes virtual. I'm Angela Spears. I'm a corporate liaison for the Southeastern region and president of New Epsilon Sigma in St. Augustine, Florida. And we are live on YouTube as well. So if someone wasn't able to get in, be sure to tell your family and friends and our sorors and affiliates to go to Sigma Gamma Rho's YouTube page, and you can join us as we are going virtual today with this wonderful program. This is an exciting opportunity to learn about water safety and a few basic swim techniques. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated formed this unique partnership, this one-of-a-kind partnership with USA Swimming in 2012. The goal of the program is to ensure the community, especially the African-American community, learns how to swim and knows about water safety. Now, I want to share this statistic with you, and you're going to hear several statistics throughout the afternoon. Black children drown at a rate nearly 3 times higher than white children. That's alarming. Here's another one. 10 people drown every single day. This is why Swim 1922 is so important. We're educating the community. We're out there. We're getting people comfortable with being in the water. In some parts of the country, I know it's very, very cold. I'm in Florida, so it's a little cold. It's like about 60 something a day. That's freezing for us. So, but I guess I won't brag about maybe get up to 70 degrees. But in some weather, in some parts of the country, it's still cold, but you can still get in the pool. Our goal today is to talk with Olympians about water safety tips and ways that you all can get more comfortable in the water. Doesn't matter what the temperature is outside, you can get comfortable with a pool. You can get comfortable inside the pool. We'll also hear a little of their stories. This will be a panel discussion for those just starting to swim and those who are experienced swimmers. So we have something for everybody today. You're going to learn something. We are innovative, soars, phylos, rowers, rosebuds, and guests. We continue to make an impact in our community. We are leading with vision, driven by purpose, under the leadership of our international president, Rashida Liberty. Good afternoon, Madam President.
Good afternoon to all, or good morning to many. Greetings to everyone, and thank you for coordinating this wonderful event. We know that Swim 1922 is one of our 5 essential programs, and as one of our 5 essential programs, we have at the helm a great sister, Sora Scenario Jones, who has been working this partnership uniquely for us, sometimes by herself in many ways, to coordinate everything nationally for us. So I want to thank everyone for joining today and being a part of this very important syncs that we're having. We know it's different for us, right? Usually we'll be playing around a pool somewhere or splashing in the water, but you still can take this opportunity to be educated. The thing I want to leave you with today is that it's important for you to record those service hours, because this does count towards our path to Centennial as we move forward. We want to make sure all of our service programs that we account the time that we're spending on them and that we adequately share information, but at the same time, we take credit for it as Sigma Gamma Rho of what we're doing to save lives. Thank you again so much for the opportunity to greet you today. And I want to take this opportunity to introduce a phenomenal leader, our great Swim 1922 liaison and partner, Sora Scenario Jones.
Thank you, Madam Grant, for the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for attending this event today. When we started the partnership in 2012, reports indicated that 70% of Black children could not swim. Today, we're pleased to report that that number is down to 64%. We're making evident strides in decreasing preventable drownings. Swim 1922 is one of our essential programs that not only allows you to have fun, but teaches you a life-saving skill. We challenge the mindsets and stereotypes to address learning to swim head on. We aim to educate the public about water safety and increase the access and diversity to the sport of swimming. Swim 1922 is here to help communities overcome fears, history, myths, and barriers to swimming. Since 2012, we have hosted Swim 1922 events in 28 of 50 states and the Bahamas, and over 100 events nationally. It wouldn't be possible without the efforts of our chapters. So I want to personally thank everyone that has hosted, participated, or shared a word about our national and local Swim 1922 events. To our community members, I hope you continue to engage with our sisterhood as we work together to ensure children and adults have lessons going forward. Now, please enjoy our Swim 1922 video.
Is a leading organization. It is an organization that defies all odds.
That was wonderful. And thank you so much, Sarah Jones, for your leadership and in serving as our Swim 1922 liaison and being the programs chair for the Southeastern region. We so appreciate that. You saw so many different statistics, and as Sarah Jones has mentioned, we have definitely made improvements when it comes to swimming statistics over the years. Did you know the research shows that participating in swim lessons reduces the likelihood of drowning? So it's definitely something that we should all do. So let's get involved. Let's do this. Now, all the registered participants received a downloadable brochure, virtual experience brochure. I've already had people texting me saying, where do you get that virtual background that Madam Grant has or that Sarah Jones has? You can get that virtual background as well. Just go to your email. If you registered, you did receive it via email. It's a virtual experience that has all sorts of great information from coupons. It lists all of our sorors who are professional and Olympic swimmers. So lots of great information, games, you could get that there. So please download that. Now, I'm going to get started with our panel discussion. We have some great panelists who are here with us today and have great information to share with all of us. I have the honor, first of all, we all know her sorors and affiliates and our family and friends who are here with us. She is very special to us. Marissa McClendon is one of our sorority members. She's an Olympian as well. She is a former American record holder in the 50 and 100-yard freestyle. She competed in the 2004 Olympic Games in Athens, Greece, becoming the first Black woman to swim in the United States Olympic team. She took home a silver medal as part of the 4x100 meter freestyle relay, adding to her long list of swimming accomplishments that includes 12 international medals, 11 NCAA titles, and 27 NCAA All-American honors. She also holds titles of Team USA team captain. She did this for several years, y'all. 2003, 2005, 2007. Sarah McClendon's a bad woman, isn't she? She's just awesome. She serves as the chair of the Black Leadership Aquatics Coalition, known as Team Black, which consists of former and current USA Swimming National Team athletes who serve to be in the aquatics leaders of the Black voice. Welcome, Sarah McClendon. It's always wonderful to see you. And I know you probably heard a little noise in the background, so y'all excuse me. Those are my two dogs getting to know each other. So I apologize in advance.
Hey, sorors. Hey, guests. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're super excited that I'm seeing these numbers continuing to go up. We started out at 100 participants. Now we're well over 450. So super excited to see that. And we're excited that you're joining us to get educated about why we do Swim 1922, hear some phenomenal stories from some Olympians on here, and it's going to be awesome. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah McClendon. We have another Olympian with us today, Jacob Pebley. I hope I said that right, Jacob. Did I say it right? All right, Jacob Pebley. He is a world champion as well. He's a 2-time national champion, an 8-time U.S. national team member. He holds so many records, y'all. He has won medals for the backstroke. He enjoys hiking, camping, canoeing, cooking, and baking. You didn't bring us all anything, did you, today, Jacob? Man, next time, okay? Have some of those goodies for us. And y'all get this. He has 2 rats. Those are his pets, the 2 rats, Fifo and Lasagna. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, everybody. It's nice to be here. Yeah, I did have 2 rats. They have since passed, but I've upgraded to 2 dogs now, German Shepherds.
Okay.
But yeah, it's great. It's great to be here, and I'm really excited about what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Well, that's so interesting to know about you. I'm glad you've upgraded now to the dogs.
Yeah, they're a little bit easier to manage, honestly.
We also have with us today Micah Sumrall. She's an Olympian. Hello. She's a 2-time world champion, 4-time U.S. national champion, a 9-time U.S. national team member. And get this, y'all, she is the 4th fastest 200-meter breaststroke swimmer in American history. She's a bad woman too, isn't she? She's a lifeguard as well. So she's all about always saving lives and making sure that people are educated when it comes to water safety. Her training, when she's out there doing this, her training includes swimming 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. And her future aspirations outside of the pool is to be a tattoo artist and a magazine designer. That's very unique. Hi.
Hi, it's nice to be here. I'm excited to be able to share with you guys.
So wonderful. So let's get started with the questions because we only have until 1 o'clock to get this in. So we're going to get it all in. So each of y'all, please tell us a little bit more about yourselves and how you got involved in swimming. And Sarah McClendon, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Sora Maritza McClendon, 2004 Olympic silver medalist, and I'm super excited. I think that for me, the reason I got into swimming was because I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine. I was only 7 years old when that happened, and my back was about 25 degrees off center. And my doctor actually recommended swimming as a remedy to kind of help correct that. And thankfully, it turned into something that I absolutely loved right from the beginning. I remember walking into my swim teams and just immediately having 50 plus friends. And the fact that I absolutely loved the water, that was an added plus. And throughout my career, it definitely wasn't an easy, constant up. Definitely had those down moments and up moments. And, throughout the entire time, I definitely tried to stay focused. I absolutely loved competing, whether it was at practice or at a competition. It was one of my favorite things to do. So I continued to do it. And as my career kind of excelled, I earned a scholarship to go to college. So my parents didn't have to pay anything. So there's a lot of opportunities when it comes to swimming. And I know that you guys have heard, the statistics. And when I made the Olympic team, I remember watching the 96 Olympic Games, and I had a vision of seeing these phenomenal athletes representing Team USA, and they got to stand on the podium, listen to the Star Spangled Banner play, and that was an inspiration for me. And I remember thinking, okay, in 96, I want to make it in 2000. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. It was one of those down moments for me. And it was detrimental. I mean, I had trained 4 hard years to make the Olympic team. And when it didn't happen in 2000, I went through depression. I had a lot of pressures from the media, from at home with my dad. And I still kind of, at the end of the day, had that passion for water, had that passion for competing, and surrounded myself by positive people. So people in my corner were my mom, my brother, my swim coaches, my teammates, and they kind of pushed me along to get back into it. So as I got back into swimming, it wasn't an easy road, but it was one of those things where I had to learn to work on my, the confidence. That was the thing that I was really lacking, was the confidence in myself, and tried to kind of reduce some of the pressures that was happening around me. And thankfully, I made the Olympic team in 2004. And while my dream was to make the Olympic team, I'm absolutely honored to have broken barriers to, set the path for other people who look like me to come through and do the same thing and even get to even a higher level. So I'm sure you guys have seen the 2016 Olympic Games where Simone Manuel won the Olympic gold medal, and that was just a phenomenal experience just to sit there and watch her. I'd watched her for so many years and seen how strong she was, and to get at that level at the Olympic Games and to do that in front of the world stage and have a gold medal, and to now be able to partner with her. We're both on this mission to continue to increase the amount of Black people, especially, to learn how to swim. I think that it's one of those things where a lot of people take for granted. You don't understand the importance of water safety and how much it touches our lives every single day. And unfortunately, you guys have heard from Sora Spears, the drowning statistics plaguing our communities, they're alarming, and thankfully Swim 1922, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, is taking a step towards changing that. You heard from Sora Jones saying that 70% of African-American children didn't know how to swim back when we started our program in 2012. Thankfully, I was part of that, the 2012 beginning, and I've been there ever since. And it's been one of the most phenomenal programs where every single chapter is getting more and more involved. And it's not just about attending a clinic or listening to these statistics, it's about getting in the water and infusing this into our communities and understanding why we need to learn how to swim. I'll tell you a quick story. In the early years of like 2012 to 2014, I would walk into our conferences and say, all right, Soras, how many of you don't know how to swim? And I would have just about the entire room raising their hand. And now I can thankfully say that when I asked, I had to change my question, because now that when I ask Soras, how many of you don't know how to swim? There's a couple here and there, but now it's turned into, how many of you know somebody who doesn't know how to swim? And that's the important question. And that's the reason why we have Swim 1922, because there's so many people in our community, so many people that we know that need to learn how to swim. So Soras, that's why we have Swim 1922. We appreciate the partnership that all of our chapters are taking on to figure out how do we do Swim 1922. Thank you all for joining us today. This is a virtual event. We would normally be in the water this time of the year. Yes, it's cold out, but we would still be in the water. And just sharing a phenomenal experience. And this today, you're going to hear from some other Olympians that you guys haven't heard from before. You guys have seen me probably a million times, and you'll continue to see me. But we're so excited to have Jacob and Mika here today to hear their story as well, and just take advantage of today and know that this is just one event of many, and we're going to continue to, rack in those volunteer hours, continue to impact our communities. And, we started at 70% of African-American children didn't know how to swim. Now we're at 64%. And Soras, I know we can get those numbers even lower through this program. So thank you so much for having me today. And I'm so excited to be here.
Mika, thank you so much, Sora McClendon. Mika, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in swimming.
Well, actually, I didn't start off as a swimmer. My parents are both soccer players, and my mom did track and field. So we kind of started out playing soccer. And one of the things that happened is my sister hurt her knee. And just like in Sora's story, the doctor was like, hey, you know what's good for that? Swimming. And so we had done a few lessons here and there. We were comfortable in the pool, but we hadn't really done a lot of the summer league swimming or anything like that. So once we started that, it was a lot of fun to have a whole team around you doing the same kind of stuff and competing. And I fell in love with the competition of swimming. And honestly, I was way better at swimming than I was at soccer. So, so that helped a lot. And just being able to compete and have friends in the sport is really what drew me to continue my career as long as it's continued so far. And it's just really awesome.
Thank you. Hey, Jacob, tell us a little about you and your story and how you got into the water and became an Olympian and had all these records.
Yeah, for me, getting into swimming goes back to my parents and going on rafting trips and camping and being around rivers and just a lot of bodies of water. And it was water safety from the very start. No one in my family had swum before that. They were able to swim because they were rafting and doing all that stuff, but they wanted to make sure me as like a 5, 6, 7-year-old that I was able to, be on a raft and fall in the water and know what to do if rushing water comes over me, grab the life jacket, do all these things that are just they're not natural to a person, but once you're taught them, it comes very easily. And for me, going to swim lessons and stuff like that was very scary. I would always cry. Whenever my parents would leave, and they would have to come back. The instructor wouldn't be able to do anything. And then I think once the competition aspect was involved with swimming, that's when I really grew to love the sport. Once I'm going to state championships, all these swim meets, and just like, oh, I got this color of ribbon. Oh, you got that color of ribbon. It became this competition type thing where it just became this like ladder that I wanted to climb as fast as I possibly could. And it just became something that I just fell in love with. And my parents were really invested in doing everything they could for me to do really well in this sport. So I've just been very lucky to have that opportunity first just to learn how to swim. And I would throw away all the competition side of it just to know how to swim. And I live in San Diego. I can go learn how to surf, and that like swimming aspect of surfing isn't really a fear for me. But for my wife, it's something that she has to think about when she's out there surfing. So it's just really nice to know that the like safety aspect has like been learned so early in my life that I can just kind of just be at peace and have fun in the water. So that's just been like a very enjoyable part of my life throughout the 20 plus years that I've known how to swim. I'm just really excited to be here.
And let's talk about that life-saving aspect. If you all can answer these questions for me, because I know Sarah McClendon, and I want all of y'all please to jump in when you feel the need to, that we've seen at our Swim 1922 clinics, people who have been terrified, Jacob, who they said they've never been in the water, just terrified. And Sarah McClendon and I have been there, and we've seen people where they're just like, oh my God, I'm not going to get in the water. I can't do this. I can't swim. How have you all, when you're teaching people, you're talking with people about this, how do you get them to overcome that fear? Because that's deep rooted, of, hey, I just can't do this. How do you get someone to overcome that fear, to want to learn, so they can learn this is a life-saving skill?
Yeah, I think most people, when they hear like, oh, I'm going to a swim meet, or I'm doing this when I'm like in the airport or something, they're asking me, oh, don't you get like cramps, or don't you like tense up and you freak out and you like sink to the bottom? Or like, actually, it's kind of like the opposite. Once you relax and you kind of don't let your fear and anxiety overwhelm you, your body is naturally going to float. If you're breathing air and you just relax and don't move your body, your body will naturally float for the most part. And so it's once you get over that fear that I'm going to fall to the bottom of the pool like a rock, it helps you, at the very least, you'll be neutrally buoyant and you can just like kick your legs a little bit. But once you get over that like initial fight against the water and you just kind of be one with the water, is kind of like where I think a lot of people start to get at peace with being in the water and lose that fear.
Sarah McClendon, can you give us some tips and give those, like we have all experience levels of swimmers, right? Some who with a novice swimmer, maybe some who are afraid right now. You have the experts on this call today. What advice do you have for people just to conquer that fear, or to tell, like you said, to tell their friends how to conquer that fear?
Right. And I agree with Jacob. That's a big component, is trying to make sure that you stay calm within the water, because the minute you start to panic, that's when you start to get, it kind of sinks to the bottom a little bit. You get very tense. So it's all about relaxing. I know we've done many clinics, and that's one of the biggest things I say is relax. And then they're like super tense. They're like, I'm relaxing. I'm like, no, you're not. Get those shoulders down and relax a little bit. But the other big thing too is, people think that you have to be in the water at the same pace as everybody else. Fear has its own pace, and the way you're going to get over it is to get over it at your pace, right? So if you are only comfortable, say your first lesson, you're comfortable just getting your toes in the water, that's a big accomplishment for a lot of people, right? And so feel happy that you got to that point. Then try the next step the next time, and continue to get lower and lower and lower. And I think there's another component of the fear of the water is like the splashing of the water on your face. you know, swimmers who don't like that, practice in the shower of getting, you know, I've heard swimmers say like, I don't even like getting water splashed on my face in showers. And I'm like, you got to practice, get over that fear by kind of addressing it right away and get that water to splash on your face. When you're in the pool, try to blow bubbles. When you blow bubbles out your mouth, you're going to start splashing water on your face. So that's just another way to kind of eventually get comfortable with it. But again, it goes right back to what Jacob had mentioned earlier. You really got to relax when you're, you know, we teach babies to turn over on their back and they just naturally float. At first they're tense, but once you get them used to the water, they start to relax and they can just float for a super long time. It's going to be a little bit harder as adults to learn how to do that, but it's still possible. But at the same time, always remember to go at your own pace. And let's say you find a teacher or an instructor who's teaching you lessons and pushing you too hard. I strongly encourage you to go find a different instructor. Find an instructor that works with you and understands this fear is real, but it's also possible to beat it.
What age would you recommend people putting your children into the water? Because I can tell you, Sarah McClendon probably put hers on day one.
I tried.
Her babies, they were born, and she probably said, "Go swim." But
yeah.
What age would you recommend?
You know, the recommendation to start swimming is actually when children can sit up. So you're talking about 4 to 6 months old, they can already start getting in the water and starting to feel, you know, what it's like to have water around them. They may scream like crazy at their first couple of lessons, but continue to push them a little bit more to get more and more comfortable. But you can start as early as 4 to 6 months, and you can continue on to learn how to swim till your very last breath. So it doesn't matter what age you start, you just got to get started.
Mika, let me ask you this question. So we know we've been in the pandemic, right? It's still going on.
People have been quarantined for a short time there. We know gyms and pools were closed, they've reopened. Some may or may not be open now. Is it really safe for people to go back into the water, Ms. Summerall?
Okay, so there has been a lot of research done, especially on a pool atmosphere. And one of the things that they've come out with, especially during this time, is that the pool air is not very good for the virus. So they use a lot of chemicals in pools, and usually on the surface of the water is going to be a little bit, usually it's a little bit of the vapors of the chemicals, and it's not good for the virus. So they say that swimming is actually one of the safer sports to be doing during this pandemic, simply because of what we have in our pools and what we swim in.
Okay, for those who may just be learning then, or, you know, just doing some basics, you know, maybe just moving their hands
and stuff, should you be wearing a mask while you're in the water, or just don't worry about that at all, or just keep your distance from people? What would you recommend?
I would recommend trying to keep your distance as much as possible. I think if you are just trying to get comfortable in the water and you're not planning on putting your face in, maybe you might feel comfortable with a mask, but there's always the possibility of it getting splashed or something. And it's pretty hard to breathe through one of those masks when they get wet. So I think the best thing is probably just make sure that you have a good personal bubble.
What are some basic techniques that people, you know, because as Sarah McClendon mentioned earlier, that we normally be
in the water right now, you guys would be teaching us in the water what to do, like you said, making those bubbles or doing something. What are some basic techniques that someone, if they say this afternoon, I'm going swimming, what can we take away from this, do you think? Each of y'all, please answer that one.
Do you mean like trying to learn how to swim, or going and...
Both, learning how to swim, getting in the water, just some basic techniques. Is it just practicing like Sarah McClendon said, splashing water
in your face when you get there, holding your breath, going underwater? Do you have any tips for us?
I think if you're someone who is kind of comfortable in the water, but not very comfortable with like some of the deeper water, I really like to do bobs, but I'm one of those people, like, if I don't have my goggles on, I don't really like to put my face in the water. I want to be able to see what's underwater, so I want to have my goggles on all the time. So doing bobs for me is one way that I get comfortable with the water, because we do a lot of hypoxic during workouts sometimes, and I can get a little bit nervous during that. I would say really anxious, and just taking time to do bobs. And basically what a bob is, you would just like go down and you push off the bottom and you come back up and you breathe, and then you do the same thing over and over. It's a pretty relaxing way to just be in the water, to get your face wet, to just kind of make sure that you're breathing and getting used to like the depth especially. So just something like that would be nice.
Jacob, what about you?
I think for me, it's a lot like when you start a practice, you warm up. You don't go right into this really hard set. You start with these little things, with sculling, kicking, pulling. And I think when you're just starting to swim, you want to kind of be like you're in your warm up phase of your swimming career, I guess you could say. And for me, that's standing at the shallow end, sculling the water, getting a feel for the water, picking up a leg, kicking some of the water, just getting really comfortable with how the water moves with your body, and realize it's not fighting you, it's moving with you. And just learning how to like control the water, because you're in complete control when you're in the water. Once you realize that, it's very easy to just start moving your hands, realizing, okay, the water's moving away. When I push out, it's coming back towards me. And then there's a buoyancy with that. And then you can feel that. You can feel yourself kind of, when you start sculling really fast with your hands, your body starts to lift up. When you start kicking your legs, your body lifts up even more. And once you realize it doesn't take much to get that lift into that buoyancy, it's a very easy thing, and you don't have to put much effort into staying afloat. I think as you get further into the deep end, much like Mika said, it gets easier to get to that deep end. I hated the deep end starting out, and I love to have my feet on the ground. So, like the swimming lessons are in the shallow, and you get your way to the deep end, jumping off the diving boards. It's just a process. You got to start with the warm up, and then you can get to those big, tough sets, or just get into the deep end.
I'm learning some very interesting things, wearing the goggles to see and doing that. And Sarah McClendon, I know there are things when you do swim clinics, sometimes you have people just go on the side,
hold on to the side and kick, right?
That's a really good one to just kind of get comfortable with the water, as far as just, go to the edge of the pool, put your 2 hands up on each side and just start kicking. You can have your face above water at first. Eventually, if you feel comfortable enough, start putting your head in as well. But you'll notice that the more you kick, as Jacob had mentioned earlier, your body's going to kind of float up a little bit more. So you can kind of start practicing a little bit more of like getting that feel for the water by kicking. You'll see if you don't kick as much, it'll sink. If you kick a little bit harder, you won't sink as much. But there's lots of great feedback today that you guys can do. The bobs are great. I don't know if a few of my sorors that have done clinics with me recently, but we have done racing in the water. We do runs. So if you go in the shallow end and you go from one end of the pool to the other, and we're literally like, all right, stars, let's see if you could. Everybody's like, oh, I can run. Oh, can you run in water though? That's when you start to kind of make it a little bit more fun. You can get your friend and race each other in the water, and you'll realize you will be exhausted by the time you get to the end of the other side of the pool, because when you start treading and start fighting that water, it gets hard and you get a really good workout. So there's a lot of great fun ways to kind of get used to the water a little bit and do some techniques that'll kind of get you introduced into that water safety realm.
That's great exercise, Sarah McClendon, great exercise. Now let's go for the tips for those who are more advanced with swimming. I mean, they may not be Olympians like you all. They may not be as great as swimmers as you all, but what advice do you have for those people who are at that next level?
I'll let the current swimmers talk about it a little bit more, but one thing I'll pitch over to you guys is a lot of people say it's really hard to learn how to breathe. You sit there and you do your strokes and you're like, Stars, I don't know when to turn my head. I start swallowing water. So love to hear from Jacob and Mika, just like, how do you teach people to make sure you're doing one stroke and turning your head enough to take a quick breath versus like popping your head up out of the water? So I'll kick it over to the other guys.
Yeah, I can go on that. For me, swimming has always been a visual learning thing. Like my coaches always have me watch video of people that are better than me and people that have done a lot more in the sport than me. And I still do that. I'll, after practice or before practice, I'll watch and see someone that's doing something really well. And I'll try and mimic that as best as I can, visualize that before I get in the water. Okay, I'm taking my stroke. I'm pulling water. I need to have my head back down here. And so it's just about timing and getting that. You can't just jump in and expect to be able to do it right away. You're gonna be, figuring this stuff out before you get in the water. So it's kind of just like having a plan. All right, I need to have my breath here, bring my head back, then pull the water so I can move forward efficiently. So it's just about, for me, it's always about having a plan and preparing for it before you actually get in the water.
There was a span of a few years when I was actually a coach, and I worked with some younger kids, and they were comfortable in the water, but they were just learning how to swim properly. And so one of the things that we did is we would do a lot of balance kick, which is where you are on your side kicking freestyle. And that's how we would have them face down in the water. And then when they needed to breathe, they would just turn their head. And that would help them they have to balance on their side, first of all. So like if they pick their head up, they're going to kind of stop balancing, and just really reinforce that head movement, that you are turning to the side in order to breathe. So.
These are great tips. These are wonderful tips. I want to switch gears just a little and talk about ways to get more minorities involved in swimming, right? We know some of the stereotypes because, Sir McClendon, we talk about this when we host dry clinics of why sometimes African Americans in particular don't get in the water, right? We don't want to get our hair wet. We're not messing up our hair, right? But we have dispelled that myth with Swim 1922. Body image is another thing, right? Of why we say, oh, I'm too fat to get into a swimsuit. I'm not going to do that. I'm embarrassed, right? What hindrances have you all seen? And maybe Sir McClendon, start with you, especially as an African American, and Nika too, you two as being a female, a predominantly white sport.
How do we get more minorities involved? Because we've dispelled some of those stereotypes. So how do we get more minorities involved in this predominantly white sport?
Yeah, I think there's several ways to do that. If you got to think about the reasons why the excuses are there, and then try to provide a reason why there shouldn't be an excuse, right? So when you think about, you go into a Black community, you don't necessarily see a pool. We really have to start to ask those questions at the county level and say, why do we not have a pool? Let's get a pool. That is going to be helpful for everybody within the community, and it'll also invite the Black community to come in and take advantage of that opportunity. Water is fun, right? You just have to make sure that you're safe in it. When you think about hair, you had mentioned earlier, it's a big thing, but you can take care of it dry, you can take care of it wet. You just got to try different hair products, and it's possible. When you think about too that, and I think more of like into the competitive realm, it's unfortunate there aren't a lot of Black competitive swimmers. So to me, it's about finding that conversion of like, let's get more minorities involved with swimming just to get that basic water safety skill, and then see like how many of them would be competitive, letting them know the opportunities of getting scholarships, of making the Olympic Games, of swimming professionally. Those are some fantastic opportunities that lie ahead. And then also knowing that there is a generation now within the sport that is trying to make sure that we feel welcome in this sport. We're starting to have that conversation. The unfortunate incident with George Floyd has sparked a lot of different topics that need to be raised and addressed, and it's hitting the swimming community pretty hard. I know, Jacob, you're very involved with that conversation as well, and I know that a lot of the athletes out there are doing the same thing. So I think it's about starting to create a safe environment and a welcome environment for everybody to join.
And Jacob, I'm going to get to you in just 1 second, but I want to ask Mika this question first. Do you think it starts too with teaching kids, especially minority children, that they can be lifeguards? Because that's what you do. And is that a way that it can start to continue to develop that love for the sport?
Absolutely. I think
because they'll have a job, right? They can make money doing it.
Yeah. But I also think that, people being able to see someone that looks like them at their local pool watching over them like that will also help. If you're just a kid and you're like trying to get used to the water, seeing someone that looks like you who's protecting over you, I think that's very impactful. I think one of the things that I didn't really realize until I was going to international meets is like the effect that somebody has when they feel represented. I think, so I'm half Filipino, and when I would go to international meets, the Filipino team would always come up to me and they would always tell me how excited they were to see a Filipino like on a USA team going to these meets and being able to get medals and stuff like that. So I just think it's really important to have those heroes in front of you and be able to see them, like whether it's a lifeguard, whether it's someone like, Cullen Jones and Maritza, those people. I think that's really important to get people into the sport.
And Jacob, you're doing something. You have a nonprofit focused on diversity in swimming called Swimmers Change, or tell me Swimmers for Change. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Leah Neal and myself, we started this nonprofit called Swimmers for Change. And it was mostly just to kind of get more information out there about how swimming can be more diverse, raise money and awareness in the sport of swimming. And I think a big thing that I realize is that there's just not a lot of acceptance and welcomeness for other like minorities in the sport of swimming, whether that's at the lower level where it's just very difficult or expensive for low income communities to have access to a pool. Swimming can become a very expensive sport without the proper help, which is there. It's just not there for all. And so it's just kind of creating an equal playing field for everybody in this country. And then with what the other two have said, it's just seeing those heroes on the big screens. They're all there. They are there. Everyone has representation in the sport. It's on very unequal levels. And it's important to have those faces up on the screens and see them, so you know that it's been done. I can be there. And it's much easier for me as a white male to see all these Olympians when 90% of them are white males or white females. And it's easier for me to believe in that. And once you get that belief in the other communities, and it'll grow the sport so much. And I think it'll be a lot more competitive once you start getting everyone involved and realizing everyone has the ability to swim at a very high level.
And you all talk about that competitiveness, right? Competing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think going back, and Sir McClendon too, please jump in on this as well, that when you're talking about this, Mika, when we talk about lifeguards, I mentioned that it's an opportunity to make money, because in some communities, people, they have to survive, right? But when they're learning that
life-saving skill, they're making money and doing something that's fun. So is this something you all incorporate when you're talking with people about this sport? Or do you just stick with it's so much fun, it's a great workout type of thing because it's a life-saving skill?
I think you got to talk about it from every perspective. Like, not everybody wants to be a competitive swimmer. Not everybody wants to. Some people just want to do it recreationally, and that's perfectly fine. But I think what we need to know is that the beginning of the journey has to start, because water safety is so important. So where you take it from there is totally up to you. Whether you just want to do a summer league, just swim over the summer, whether you just want to go, to spring break and enjoy the beach with your friends, or, maybe you just want to get in the water because you have an injury. There's plenty of basketball players, football players who are doing rehab, and they're using the water to help them, heal a little bit better. So there's just so many opportunities when it comes to swimming, and not everybody's journey is going to be the same. So just knowing that whoever I'm talking to, I try to let everybody know you can get a job, you can get a scholarship, you can have fun, you can stay healthy. It's low impact on your body. I mean, I can go down the entire, sorry, Spears, I can go down the entire list. But it's inviting for everybody. But at the end of the day, the beginning of the conversation is the same. Water safety is so important, and it's a life-saving skill that everybody should learn how to learn right from the get-go. And the fact that it impacts our minority communities so much harder, we had to try to start that conversation, earlier, and really drive it home with those statistics. Understand like why we have to get involved with swimming.
Jacob, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think going off of that, it's just swimming opens a lot of doors. Whether you want competitions, you can get a scholarship, you can travel the world and see the world. It also opens up 70% of the world. Our planet is mostly water, and you can go experience these things. There's people doing these crazy open water swims across these English channels and stuff like that. You can go to the ocean, you can go to rivers, lakes. There's water everywhere in our world, and I think it's it's just, it's terrible that there's people that are afraid to be experiencing that part of the world when it's a majority of our planet is made up of water. And so it's just a beautiful thing once you are able to become one with the water, and you can just go see and do so many different things that you weren't able to do before.
Nika, what about the coaching aspect? Maybe the CEO side, the front office side of it, you know, getting into that
C-suite, because there are people who are running organizations such as USA Swimming, right? And some of those
could have been swimmers. Isn't that another avenue too for people to think about?
Sure, there's definitely things that can go on from either just being a swimmer or being around swimming or being around water. Like, you can start programs like these. You can become a coach or a lifeguard, or you know, be actively involved in your community in something like this. I think that making that an important point could really help, you know, expand who we reach. And I'm not sure that I've heard that much about it before now. And it's really interesting to hear it now. And I'm like, this actually makes a lot more sense than the way that I've been taught to approach things. So
we're all learning today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about, right? That's what it's about, is educating each other with anything. Any final tips or anything else that you all would like to share as we wrap up? Your final, you'll have something to say. Come on now. To get us involved, to get us encouraged.
I think that, at least when it comes to the water, I think exposure is probably the most important step. Just being near it consistently will help you get comfortable with it. A lot of the things that we do in the sport is like, when you're learning how to swim, we want to try to get you into the water at least once a day, because that'll help you learn how to do the strokes. And I think the same thing goes for when you're just trying to learn how to get comfortable with it, just getting the feel of it. Like, maybe not once a day, but maybe a few times a week, especially in the summer, if you have that kind of time to really like put effort into getting used to this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I'll just take this opportunity to plug someone that I've met through Swimmers for Change. Jamal Hill does these virtual swim lessons, and I think that's a really great place to start if you haven't swam and you're in the pandemic and you're maybe afraid or you don't have access to a pool right now. Jamal Hill is doing a wonderful thing with teaching people how to swim with just a bucket of water, and in your home, he'll teach you how to swim. So he's on Instagram, Swim Uphill. He'd be a great asset for a lot of people that are here listening. And if they have a friend that doesn't know how to swim, I would definitely recommend they go visit his page and see what he's been doing. It's really incredible.
What's that page again? So just with a bucket of water, we can learn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Swim Uphill. That's his Instagram handle. He's on his way to become a Paralympian. He's an amazing role model for everyone in the sport of swimming.
Wow. So Marissa, you're going to add that to your repertoire.
I'm trying to get connected with Jamal now. I'm like, Jamal, you need to give me some tips, because I think that, you know, when you think about how much this pandemic has impacted everybody, and, you know, we're here trying to do things virtually, but we're also missing the water, right? Like I'm missing seeing my sorors and getting a group of us into the water, doing some water safety. But, you know, how do we adjust things and still continue that conversation and show tips that we can do even during the pandemic? And what Jamal is doing is absolutely phenomenal. I know that there is already a chapter out there that has reached out to him to get a clinic going. So I'm just saying, chapters, I know you guys are competitive. I would take advantage of doing something virtual like that as well until we can get together again and get back in the water. But, you know, I think this is a fantastic step for everybody to be part of this conversation today, because, you know, you're showing that you want to learn about why we're doing this program. Why do we have Swim 1922? Why are we partnering with USA Swimming? You know, what are those opportunities beyond the water safety part of it? You can be a lifeguard, be a coach, start your own nonprofit. Be part of the conversation, be a mentor. There's just so many opportunities that water brings. There shouldn't be a reason why we're afraid of it. So, you know, this is a wonderful jumpstart to the conversation, but don't let it end here. Soars, Soars and guests, you know, we have a lot of work to be done. There's, you know, we started out with 70%, we're now at 64. I know we can get that number lower. So the journey continues. And what I think is phenomenal about everything too is that we're all coming together and having this conversation. This isn't just for, you know, the Black community. This is for everybody to listen and be a part of it and be a part of the change, be a part of the action. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me. You know, I absolutely love my sorors. I love Swimming Gamma Rho sorority, and of course, definitely appreciate USA Swimming for being wonderful hosts as well to, you know, give us a platform to spread this wonderful message.
And thank you, Sarah McClendon, for mentioning that this program is for the entire community, for everyone, and that's so important. And thank you for sharing that wonderful advice. Jacob, thank you. And Mika, thank you so much. We so appreciate you for sharing this. We love having Olympians because, you know, y'all are in the family now, Jacob and Mika, because we're all going to say that we know y'all, right? When someone says, when we see y'all, we're like, oh, I know Jacob. He's my best friend. Mika, yeah, we know her. So you're part of us now. You're part of the family. We appreciate you talking with us and sharing this valuable information. I learned so much. So thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
You are so much fun.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been an amazing experience, and I hope these can continue to happen despite whatever's going on in the world.
And it will. So on behalf of our international president, Rashida Liberty,
we thank you. And Swim 1922, as you heard earlier, is one of Sigma Gamma Rho's essential programs. And the lady leading our programmatic thrust is Sarah Zaretha Washington. And she is here with us this afternoon. And Sarah Washington, I first of all want to thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your dream team, as you called it. Well, an unofficial member today of your dream team, which consists of your program's chairs from each of the regions. We have 5 regions within Sigma Gamma Rho. So I so appreciate it. This has been a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, hasn't it been, or morning, and for some people.
Oh, it's been amazing. It has been amazing. And what an amazing guest and list of panelists. We're so appreciative and thank each of them for their time this morning.
Sarah Washington, we know once again that there is that downloadable Swim 1922 virtual experience brochure that everyone can get all sorts of information, have the statistics when it comes to swimming, learn about our soars
who are Olympians and professionals. And you know, Sarah Washington, you know the question that we all have, right? When can we get that Sigma Gamma Rho swimsuit?
I knew that question was coming, and it will be here in 2021. So in the meantime, though, until our swimsuit is ready, please, as Source Spears mentioned in the downloadable virtual experience brochure, take advantage of the 25% off coupon from Speedo. They will be giving us 10% of your purchase, as well as the 50% off coupon from Arena, so that you can start to get your swim body ready. So when you're in your Sigma Gamma Rho swimsuit, we're gonna be some pretty poodles. So make sure you download that from the brochure, as well as the bingo card and the word search and all of the activities that are in the brochure. I have another reminder for everyone. Make sure you log in your hours towards our centennial goal of 1 million hours. So go on there, Sigma family, and log in your hour from today's program. Also, Soars, I want you guys to consider, as Jacob mentioned, it can be expensive to participate and learn how to swim. So consider sponsoring a scholarship with a local swim academy in your community so that someone who's not able to afford it can be able to learn to swim. So consider that as a takeaway and an actionable item from today's event. The other thing I have the privilege of doing is announcing the raffle winners from today. So we're going to have 7 winners. You will be notified via email that you have won and how to and be able to access your prize. So our first winner, Lorelei Knowles, you are number 1. Congratulations. Number 2, Arnelia Bell Hawkins. Congratulations. We have Avita Antwi. Congratulations. Pamela Anthony, you are also a winner. Sherry Ford, congratulations. Ivy Baker, and last but not least, Denise Smith. Congratulations to all of our raffle winners, and thank you everyone for participating today and coming out and sharing your time and learning about this important safety information regarding water safety. Enjoy the rest of your day, whether it's still morning or afternoon. Enjoy. Take care.